It's been a busy few weeks for the world of cinema. We had the Berlin Film Festival a couple of weeks ago, and now we've got the Oscars next week on the 12th of March, or technically the 13th of March here in Europe due to the time difference. And here to tell us more is our resident cinephile expert, David Morricone. So, David, obviously you're going to be staying up, I guess. You're going to be fueled on caffeine.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night. It's basically on Sunday evening or on Monday morning, as you said. And yeah, live blogging with Euronews Culture, just keeping up with the results and making sure that we've got them all.
We'll look forward to seeing you on Monday morning then when I come in, if you're a state or not. You're never a state, I'm joking.
Bless you.
General question, what do we need to look out for here this time around in these Oscars?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be a depressingly well-behaved ceremony this year because it's obviously the first Oscars since the infamous Slapgate last year. And the chief executive of the Oscars, Bill Kramer, and the president of the Oscars, Janet Yang, have said that their efforts to prevent these kind of incidents have been a little bit lackluster. So they've set up a crisis team this time round, and they're banking on the host, Jimmy Kimmel, this time round as well, because he previously hosted the Oscars in 2017, where there was the infamous La La Land Moonlight debacle when the wrong winner was announced. So essentially, which caused quite a bit of a stir.
So I was going to say, did Will Smith really cause all of this? But I guess there have been other issues.
Oh,
in the
there've
past
been
as
plenty.
Well, yeah.
There've been streakers. There's been so many kind of incidents at the Oscars. But essentially, they're banking on Kimmel to rein it in, and it's only one host this year as opposed to 3 last year. So I think they're going to, in general, just make sure that it goes off according to plan, a vanilla kind of Oscars this year. That being said, it is quite an eclectic bunch in the film category. There's quite a lot. I'm looking at my list now. So, Avatar: The Way of Water. So, less said about that, the better.
What do you mean?
It's terrible, James. It's absolutely terrible.
It's one of the few that I've seen this year.
Right.
So.
Well, do you know what? Let's list them off. Have you seen Elvis?
No.
Right. Okay. Well, it's great music biopic, not as resonant as it could have been, but I mean, still, it's good, some good performances. Top Gun Maverick, have you seen that one?
No, I think I intended to, but I never did.
Of course you did, yeah. But I mean, it's been wildly credited as saving cinema, and even Steven Spielberg has said so, like post-COVID, it did extraordinarily well. So it is nominated, its chances of winning anything are slim to none. Triangle of Sadness, Women Talking, which is the beautiful Sarah Polley film, which is a story of a religious community fighting against misogyny. That's gone under the radar, but it is a fantastic film. All Quiet on the Western Front, which is the Netflix war drama, which has done extraordinarily well at the BAFTAs recently. It won 7 awards, including Best Film, which is the first time that's ever happened for a film that's not in the English language for the BAFTAs. So that could be one to look out for. The Banshees of Inisherin, Fabelmans, the Spielberg. I mean, these are kind of the front runners. Tar. Have you seen Tar yet?
No, I haven't.
Right. The last time we spoke, I mentioned Tar, and what are you doing? Get thee to a talkie. I mean, literally, I know you're a busy man, but it's such a good
The last time we spoke, or since the last time we spoke, I've been to the cinema once, and it was to see the Titanic, 25th anniversary.
No one would blame you giving Jim Cameron some more money, but the point is please, please, please watch Tar, because, I mean, the problem is with the Oscars is that the best film doesn't always win best film, and the best film this year, it has to be said, is Tar. It probably won't win in the film category, but it is a clear standout. And then there's Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is now the front runner. It used to be the kind of outlier, the underdog, and people were saying it wasn't traditionally kind of Oscar enough because it's this madcap multiverse adventure. It's funny, it's emotional, but it also features hot dog fingers and a battle with dildos. So the thing is,
I have to see this.
You do have to see it, and the thing is that it would really set a precedent because, like, usually there are a couple of films this year we've got Top Gun Maverick, we've got Avatar, the crowd pleasers, and prior to that there was Black Panther that was nominated. Whereas this year it could actually be a film that has won over the general public and that doesn't feel like this traditional Oscar baity movie movie that is highbrow or anything like that. It seems to tick a lot of boxes, so that would be really the one to look out for.
So that's the one to look out for, but if you've got your crystal ball out right now, like what would you predict? Like, winners, best film, best actor, best actress,
well,
best director?
It's an odd one this year because essentially you have these kind of bellwether awards before the Oscars, the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, the SAGs, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, the Directors Guild Awards, and each and every time they've gone to different films or to different performers. So for a very long time, I mean, in any other year would have been The Fabelmans, because Spielberg, looking back at the past, an ode to cinema, an incredibly personal film from one of Hollywood's, greatest directors, and that seems to kind of have fallen out of favour. And for a while it was Banshees of Inisherin after its Best Screenplay win and Best Actor win in Venice. And now the main frontrunner is Everything Everywhere All at Once, like I said. So that hoovered up the SAG Awards. I think they broke all records. They won the majority of the acting categories, Best Director, Best Film, and that seems to be a clear indication that that is really the one to beat. It's theirs to lose on the evening. When it comes to the acting categories, it's also a little bit uncertain. So for Best Actress, I think Cate Blanchett for Tar. Tar, have you seen Tar? Are you watching Tar right now?
I don't know if we've mentioned that.
I don't think we've mentioned Tar. Are you watching Tar? What about now?
I think I'm
go see Tar! But yeah, sorry.
It'd be strange if I walked out right now to go see it.
I'm losing my calm. Yeah, I'll carry on the interview. You just go, and I'll just talk to the camera, or just like switch seats and talk to myself. But basically, no, Cate Blanchett, I think, has every chance of winning her third Oscar for her performance as Lydia Tarr in Todd Fields' film.
And just remind us, what has she won it for before, do you know?
Oh, if I'm not mistaken, she won for, well, she definitely won for Blue Jasmine, and she won for The Aviator as well. And she's been nominated a handful of times as well. And, I mean, if she were to win, she would win a third one like Frances McDormand, like Meryl Streep, like, I think those are the only two that come to mind. But it is between her and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So it's kind of a two-way race there. When it comes to Best Actor, I think Brendan Fraser has it in the bag for his performance in The Whale. This is this comeback story, and Hollywood loves a comeback story. So I think that is pretty much a dead cert for Brendan Fraser for The Whale for Best Actor. Best Supporting Actor, then again, there's also a comeback story, which is Ke Huy Quan, who, did you ever see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. He played Short Round, the small... Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. And he's kind of been off the grid since, and this is his first major film performance since then. And it's a great performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that, I think, will assure that he wins Best Supporting Actor. One of the unknowns this year will be Best Supporting Actress. So there's Angela Bassett, who could potentially win for her role in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, or it could very well go to Jamie Lee Curtis for her role in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And again, at the ceremonies prior to the Oscars, both these actresses have been kind of battling it out, and it seems to be quite even. So predicting those ones are a fool's errand at this point. We just don't know.
But it'd be quite interesting if, like, Bassett won, right? Because obviously that's an award for a Marvel film, I think you mentioned before.
Absolutely. So if Angela Bassett won, it would be the first time a Marvel film wins an Oscar. So, and it would be incredibly merited. I mean, Angela Bassett is a fantastic performer. I think that would be great. Then again, I have to admit, I'd love it if Jamie Lee Curtis won, because I'm a huge fan of hers, being a horror fan, having grown up with Halloween and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're a big horror fan.
Did you not, James? Have you seen Tar yet? Anyway, and basically, so those are the kind of main acting awards. For director, I think it will probably go to the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once. That being said, there's an off chance that they might give it to Spielberg, purely because it's Spielberg. And His film, I'm not a fan of The Fabelmans. I thought it was schmaltzy, but at the same time, it's incredibly well made, and Hollywood just can't resist honouring its greats. So then again, it could be between those two. And I'm trying to think if I've missed out any major categories.
What about I think, like, there's the international feature, right?
Absolutely, the best international feature. Now, the Irish talent this year have had a banner year with regards to the Oscars. They've got 14 nominations in total, and one film in Best International Feature Film is The Quiet Girl. Now, this is the first film in the Irish language that has ever been nominated for an Oscar. Yeah, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous film, a real tearjerker as well, and I don't think it stands much of a chance of winning, unfortunately.
Just the fact it's got there is pretty impressive.
Fantastic, so. Yeah, and the thing is that in general, I think on the podium for countries that are the most awarded at the international feature, it's Italy, France and Spain. So to have like some fresh blood, so to speak, is brilliant. So there, I think that there's every chance. I mean, nominated is EO, Close for Belgium, Argentina 1985, The Quiet Girl, as I said, but I think the one that will run away with it is All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't think it will win Best Picture, but it has every chance of winning Best International Picture for Germany.
Right. Well, we like that category because we're Euronews, European, we love that. Taking a step back then and looking at the Oscars in general, like, why is it even called the Oscars? Who is Oscar?
Who is Oscar? It's a good question. I mean, it's quite disputed as to why it's called Oscar. The name was adopted in 1939, if I'm not mistaken, where Margaret Herrick, who was the executive director of the Oscars at the time, saw the statue and said it reminded her of her uncle Oscar.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. That's basically it. I mean, that seems to be the official line of why it's called the Oscars.
But I don't see many, defining traits in the...
A straight back, made of gold, chiseled.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, yeah, that seems.
Wouldn't we all like to look like this Oscar?
I mean, he's got quite a bland face, but true. I mean, at the same time, good posture at least. But yeah, so that's the origin of the Oscar name, so it would seem. And before you ask, it's not made of gold. It's solid bronze that's dipped in gold. What is it? What would you say? Gilded in gold? Plated.
Yes,
plated. That's the word I'm looking for. Caked in gold. So there we go. But during the Second World War, that's a nice piece of trivia, because of metal shortages, essentially it was made out of plaster. And then afterwards, retroactively, they made bronze statues plated in gold and gave the
people
winners
that had won it before.
Exactly.
Okay, so they didn't lose out.
They didn't, no.
Great. And who has won the most of these awards? Do we know? Do you know?
I don't. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Ben-Hur and Titanic are up there. I'm pretty sure, of course, Titanic. I'm pretty sure that Lord of the Rings as well did very well.
One of my absolute favourites.
Well, there you go.
Very basic. I've told you before.
No,
but yeah.
And there is nothing wrong with that. But again, before Sunday, do try and see at least Tar, or have I mentioned Tar before? But also Everything Everywhere All at Once, because it is this kind of very energetic, has this verve, this panache that is... Some people have actually found it incredibly smug, and there seems to be a backlash. There's always a swaying of opinions, like I was saying about the favourites for films, like Banshees was the favourite at one point, and now it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. But there does seem to be a little bit of a swing of people still kind of championing it as being this kind of really vibrant film that should win in order to kind of dispel the rumour that it has to be these highbrow films or these films that no one has seen, or, that the fact that it's also a multiverse story, and that's such a ubiquitous narrative kind of trope at the moment, specifically with superhero films. So essentially, even if it isn't a superhero film, this is potentially going to be the first time a superhero-themed film wins an Oscar.
Great. Fantastic. Are there going to be any, or is it likely that there will be any sort of milestone victories this time round?
Well, like I said, if Angela Bassett wins, it will be the first time for a Marvel film, so that could be one. Kate Blanchett maybe winning her third Oscar. If All Quiet on the Western Front does manage to kind of win Best Picture on top of Best International Picture, like Parasite did prior, that would be quite something. It would be a little bit of an upset. I don't know if you've seen it, the All Quiet on the Western Front.
No.
I mean, it's perfectly well made. It is very gripping, but it just seems to have emerged as this kind of late in the game favourite that could potentially create an upset. But no, I think it is pretty much a lockdown for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm trying to think of other milestones this year. I mean, if Michelle Yeoh manages to beat Kate Blanchett, it would be the first time an Asian woman wins the Best Actress Oscar. So that would be quite something.
Yeah, great for diversity. I think we
Absolutely.
spoke about that last time as well. You know, how these awards are kind of really doing a lot to try and boost diversity. So yeah, that would be a great one there. Yeah. I've also heard that this time that all 23 categories are actually going to be broadcast, or when they're awarded, they're going to be broadcast, and that wasn't the case before. You know, things like sound, editing, makeup. Do we know why that is, and why is this so important?
It's incredibly important. I'm glad they've reverted back to doing this, because post-COVID, they were hemorrhaging numbers, basically. The Oscars have not done very well of late, and it has to be said, as sad as it is, because of the Will Smith-Chris Rock incident last year, there was a surge in numbers and viewership. Now, the thing is, they wanted to make the award ceremony, which is already very, very long. Like, I'm bracing myself for Sunday evening, because it's going to be a long night. But the thing is they wanted to kind of reduce it a little bit, just to make sure that it was more viewer-friendly, to attract a new audience, and to make it young, and to make it, you know, more vibrant, whatever that means. And the thing is that I personally found it incredibly insulting when they removed those categories from the main broadcast, because while the main categories like Best Film, Best Director, the acting categories, Best Editing, Cinematography, these are important, and films are made in
They're the headline grabbers, aren't they?
Exactly. But the thing is that you cannot have these films without special effects, without makeup, without all of the other categories that make these films what they are. They are built on these categories, which is so damn important.
Absolutely.
And to brush them aside is a little bit like saying, yeah, you're great, but I mean, you know, these are the ones that are going to get all the audiences. No, if you're going to celebrate film, celebrate it as a whole, celebrate it properly. And the fact that they're doing this means a longer evening for film fans and for myself, but at the same time, brilliant, because we'll get to properly honour the people that are behind these titles.
Well, exactly. Like, a film is only the sum of its parts, really, and so every aspect of it has to be, like, literally up to scratch, so that it's worthy of whatever awards it wins. You know, the makeup, the sound, the music. Speaking of which, I hear Rihanna is going to be performing, so that's big news. Another big headline-grabbing thing.
Well, that's
her song from Black Panther, right?
That's it. Yeah. Lift Me Up.
Yeah.
So she'll be performing that song. There'll be other songs performed. There's also Natu Natu from the Bollywood film RRR, which I think will be a big headline grabber, because there's going to be presumably a big Bollywood dance sequence that goes with it, and it's such an energetic number and a fantastic film as well. There's also David Byrne and Son Lux for the song This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once. The main question right now is, will Lady Gaga show up?
I was going to say that I was going to ask you to see if we'd had that confirmation yet, but
not yet. I mean, not that I'm aware of. She doesn't answer my calls, sadly. But I mean, so her song is called Hold My Hand. It's for Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
And the thing is that right now she's filming the Joker sequel, Folie à Deux, with Joaquin Phoenix. So we're not sure if she's coming to the ceremony to perform that song. It would be a shame if she didn't, because it's a banger. And at the same time, for the Oscars, for this kind of ceremony that seems a little bit sometimes antiquated and a little bit too long and dull, these are the moments where you really kind of need to put your best foot forward. And having Rihanna and Lady Gaga and all these artists, David Byrne, like sharing a stage, appearing on stage, would be fantastic.
Well, like you say, it was because if numbers were kind of dropping before, then for these people to come back, it would really sort of, bring the numbers back, you'd think. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, also something, well, I think we mentioned it already, the fact that there was Slapgate last year, raised the numbers. Are we going to see something like that again this year? I know we have briefly touched on it already, what's going to happen?
I mean, I think, well, first, we're going to get so many slap jokes, it's going to be sickening at this point.
You mean from all the people presenting the awards and stuff?
Probably,
or even just, social media, of course.
Social media, and Jimmy Kimmel will have to mention it at some point. And I mean, quite rightly so, but I'm really hoping that they don't overdo it, because yes, it was this kind of crystallized pop culture moment, and it was a black mark on the behalf of the Oscars, because it was just a pretty pathetic performance there, and it really showed that they needed to do better. Now, like I said, they've set up the crisis team. I think what we have to look forward to, aside from the musical numbers and potentially any upsets, is quite a smooth-going ceremony. They will really try to kind of steer it back to kind of calmer shores. So, no, I don't think we can expect any kind of major upsets, unless Steven Spielberg just, goes off on one, and trust me, if Avatar goes anywhere near the Best Picture Oscar, I will be flying to LA to create
People are
going to
riot.
I will riot like no one's business.
I mean, I don't know, you give the people what they want. You can't besmirch the film just for that.
Oh, I will besmirch, James. I will besmirch all I want, because no, I mean, the mere fact that film was prioritised over in the best film category over films like Till, over films like the Warrior King. I mean, it's just no. What it will hoover up the awards when it comes to technical awards and special effects, rightly so.
As the first one did, didn't it?
It did,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is yes, it is very impressive on a visual level, but narratively speaking, it's completely barren.
I remember someone once describing it to me, or at least the first one, as like Pocahontas with aliens.
Yeah, Smurfs in space. Yeah. No, it is that. It's Dances with Wolves meet Smurfs. And I mean, as much as I appreciated the first one, I mean, we've got another kind of 4 or 5 coming up as well. He's got a 7 kind of film plan in this saga, and quite frankly, just no. Give us a sequel to Tar. That would be nice.
Which I think you've said I have to go and watch at some point. So
I don't know, mention that.
Well, I might go do it now. Cheers, David, as always. So that's the 95th Academy Awards, which are due to be held on March the 12th, but that's 1 a.m. here in Europe on the 13th. So thank you very much. Enjoy.